What's up, basketball fans? Welcome to the Warwick Report. It's time to talk about the Toronto Raptors and the latest news regarding them, and that is that they have signed Josh Jackson to an NBA contract. They have brought in Josh Jackson. Now, the details of the contract have not been released, or I have yet to see them, but the Raptors actually announced this themselves. Now, this is quite an interesting signing. So for today's video, I'm going to be breaking down how Josh Jackson can impact the Toronto Raptors, who is going to fight for the final roster spot, and how this impacts Justin Champagnie as well. So if you're ready to watch this video, guys, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Let's try to get this video to 180 likes. And if you would like to join a basketball community that is very supportive of each other, and a YouTuber that not only reads your comments, but actually replies to them, even if I may disagree with your comments, this is the channel for you. So definitely hit the subscribe button as well. So with that being said, let's get into today's video. Now, as you guys know, I do like to give out shout outs on my channel. And for today's video, we have two special shout outs. And that shout out goes out to Bryce Newsham. So Bryce, thank you so much for supporting this channel through likes and comments. And Bulldog, your support and your comments and everything both of you guys do is very much appreciated. I couldn't just choose one comment. I appreciate both of you guys supporting this channel a lot. Now, let's talk about Josh Jackson. Now, this move comes after a couple of days after the Raptors announced that they are waiving Sui Mihailuk. Now, there's a lot of speculations as to whether the Raptors would bring in a player. A lot of names we heard of was obviously someone like a Jalen Harris. That obviously didn't happen, but this shouldn't really come as a surprise. Like I said, the Raptors do like to have about 20 guys coming into training camp, and they usually like to have a lot of these guys fighting for those two last roster spots. Now, a lot of people that actually speculated the Raptors will not bring anyone in, given the fact that the Raptors have really little money to work with, and also the fact that they still had about four or five guys fighting for those two lost roster spots. Now, this definitely makes things very interesting, but let's quickly touch upon Josh Jackson first, who is a former 4th overall pick by the Phoenix Suns. He comes into the NBA really projecting to be a good scorer, but that did not seem to be the case at all. He really struggled with the Phoenix Suns, and overall, he definitely didn't pan out to be the player that a lot of people expected him to be. I personally had really high expectations for Josh Jackson. I remember him being drafted, and I remember saying the Phoenix Suns actually got a really good player. Well, clearly he wasn't really special as I had hoped, and there's a reason why I always say this. I'm a YouTuber, and I don't work in the NBA office for a reason. But obviously, he has all the tools that made him, or at least seem like it would be a really special talent. Now, he does fit into the Raptors mold of those 6'8", 6'9" guys. Talking about Josh Jackson, you do have to talk about his defense. And based on what I've heard from other people is that he's a gritty nose player. I'm not going to sit here and act like I know a lot about Josh Jackson's defense, but based off of what I've heard from former teams that he's played from, then their fan bases, it seems like he's someone who is a really gritty defender, who really gets into defenders' faces and isn't afraid of contact, which is good news for Raptors fans because Raptors love their defense. And let's be honest, if there was a prototype of a player that fits into the Raptors mold, a 6'8" guy who plays great defense and doesn't shoot, and of course, that happens to be Josh Jackson. Now, let's take a look at his stats here for a moment, just to break down what his career has looked like so far in this NBA, and just kind of break down his strong points and his weaknesses as well. As you see there, he's definitely traveled around the NBA quite a bit. He's played for quite a few seasons now, but he's still a very young player. He's 24 years old. He's listed at about 6'8", 200, I believe, 5 pounds. So he's got pretty decent size, and to make things better, he's also listed as a small forward shooting guard, which really gives the Raptors depth, which I will touch on in just a moment. But taking a look at his statistics, it's not a surprise that he had his best season with the Detroit Pistons. Now, I say this because former Raptors coach Dwayne Casey is there, and we know Dwayne Casey did a spectacular job of really developing some of these guys that you see on the Raptors today. Fred VanVleet, Pascal Siakam was there as well. So again, I'm not surprised that he had his best season with the Detroit Pistons. Unfortunately, it just seemed like it went a little downhill after that. But I definitely still believe that Josh Jackson could still be a really decent player at the NBA. Not definitely the player that he was expected to be once he entered the NBA. But taking a look at some of his weak points, we do have to address some things. Is that he's not a good shooter at all. And I'm going to be straightforward and honest with you. Those numbers look horrendous. 26% with the Detroit Pistons in a few seasons ago. I mean, from the three-point shot, that's really bad. And again, in limited minutes and limited games with the Sacramento Kings, he shot about 17.6%. And even his free throw percentage, for someone his size, his free throw percentage definitely should be at least close to 80%. That has never been the case in any of his careers. And realistically speaking, nothing really shines out about Josh Jackson. He should be a scorer. He's not really known for that. He's not a rebounder. He can't pass. He's not getting these steals, blocks. He's not doing a whole lot of stuff. And even his 2-point field goal percentage should be a lot higher given the fact that he's listed at 6'8". But if there was ever an organization that really works on developing some of these guys, and really not going to say that the Raptors will turn him into the star player or all-star that he was projected to be coming into the NBA, but there's definitely no denying that the Raptors could still work with him. He's 25 years old, still a young player. I know he's played for quite a few teams, and he definitely has had his ups and downs in the NBA, but the Raptors do specialize in working with non-shooters, and potentially Josh Jackson could be that player. Now, this does give the Raptors a little bit of depth in that shooting guard position, as well as a small forward as well. The Raptors definitely have had some players in the past that have shown potential, but no one's really stepped up in the backup position for small forward slash shooting guard. We know we had Jalen Harris for our season there. He looked spectacular in his rookie season. We also had Thaddeus Young last season who played multiple positions, but this would definitely give the Raptors a good option coming off of the bench. Not as a sixth option, not as a seventh option, maybe not even as an eighth option, but definitely in terms of positional depth. You finally get someone behind Gary Trent Jr. that can play up some backup minutes. You get someone behind OG Anunoby that can play the small forward position as well. Again, this gives the Raptors a really good defender in Josh Jackson who can really just swat the ball. He can do a little bit of everything on defense. So I'm personally excited about him. We'll see what happens in training camp, though. He does have to fight for a final roster spot, which is what I wanted to talk about. Now, the Raptors do have several players that are looking to fight for a roster spot, including Justin Champagnie, Delano Banton. They got Juanco Hernan Gomez. They also have DJ Wilson as well. And now they had him to the list. That is about 5 players fighting for the 2 final roster spots. And this really makes it quite challenging, if we're being completely honest, because obviously a lot of Raptors fans feel strongly about Delano Banton, who statistically didn't have the best season, but the potential is definitely there. Like, you see him being the 6'9" guy who can bring the ball up. He just needs to obviously work on a lot of his ball handling skills, but also his shooting skills as well. And then you have Justin Champagnie, who can potentially has shown flashes of being a good three-point shooter, but his defense and his rebounding is really good. And that is something the Raptors could always use off the bench. So this is a really tough position to be in, because now you add Josh Jackson to that. And now you have Justin Champagnie. You have Delano Banton as well. And again, not to take anything away from DJ Wilson and Juanco Hernan Gomez, but those are probably the 3 players I'm looking at to fight for those final 2 roster spots. And as I said, the Raptors love doing this gladiator style, WrestleMania style, last man standing, or in this case, the last 2 men standing. So this makes things quite interesting. I think this definitely puts a lot of pressure on Justin Champagnie. It is unfortunate. He did deal with an injury early in before even the summer league happens, which didn't allow him to play much. But this is going to make things very interesting heading into training camp. And this is just going to spice things up as to who finally gets those 2 roster spots. There's all sorts of speculations as to what's going to happen. We'll wait and see what happens. But I do want to hear your thoughts. What are your thoughts on this signing of Josh Jackson? Did you expect the Raptors to sign Josh Jackson, or did it really surprise you like it surprised myself? I do want to hear your thoughts down in the comment section below. And as always, guys, I do have a trivia question for you today. And that trivia question is, how many teams has Josh Jackson played for? Is it A5? Is it B6? Is it C4? Or is it D3? So whoever answers this trivia question correctly first in the comment section gets a shout out in my next video. So that will be it for today's video, guys. So thank you so much for watching this video, and your support is always very much appreciated, guys. And that will be it for today's video. And I hope you guys have yourselves a great day.